this is film school interview?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you want to go to this film school to study film?
Because, like, I've always wanted to do filming, and, like, I originally wanted to do script writing because I really enjoyed writing, but my English level grades aren't that good, and I don't think I'll be able to do it in university. And while studying media at Bridgewater and then at Taunton College, I actually really enjoyed learning how to like direct, and I really enjoyed getting people together, like visual special effects artists together for them to help me make my film a bit better.
Okay, so from what you're saying, the process of working as a team is appealing to you?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy working as a team, and I think I can add something to the table which not anyone else just can.
Sure. And what films inspired you to want to do film at university?
It's quite a few different films. Off the top of my head, definitely Jurassic Park, because I think like the symbolism of because while watching Jurassic Park, there's underlying themes, like subtext about the main character Alan and children, and about him coming to terms with having kids. Because for the whole thing, like the first bit you see Alan with, he's looking at this computer screen with a velociraptor skeleton in it, and it's very similar to an ultrascan. And if you go through it, he's through the whole thing, he's coming to terms with learning how to deal with children and how to take care of them. And I think understanding subtext like that, about it's not just dinosaurs or people dying in it, it's actually the subtext about family. It inspired me to look into that more myself.
So, on the course you're on at the moment, do you do some sort of film criticism within that? Because obviously you're learning how to read films, looking at subtext, like you're saying. Hello, Declan.
Hello.
So, continuing from what we were saying before, I'm going to go with the same question again. What skills do you hope to gain at film school that you couldn't gain if you just stayed home?
Well, I do want to I don't really see the potential of doing freelance work as a full-time career. So what I was hoping to do is to work for more of a production company, such as like Universal, Wonder Bros. And then I was thinking of using the education I'll learn at a university or a uni. I was thinking that I'll be able to improve my portfolio, which I would be very happy in order to do that. I was thinking about, I looked into it, and only about 70% of people only 70% of people who get into the industry have diplomas. So I was thinking it does give me, much more of a better chance than the person next to me who doesn't. And I was thinking this would be a very good way of getting the career I want, working for a production company rather than just freelance.
Okay. What area of the industry or what area of the course do you see as the most interesting? Are you someone who sees himself as a producer or a director or an editor? Or where do you see yourself?
I do. I enjoy producing a lot, but what I mostly enjoy to do is directing, because I like that control over the film. I like to know where I'm going to guide the film, how I want it to be. I do have good skills within editing, so if I'm directing, I can obviously point out and know how I want it to be, and I know what's more plausible.
So could you name me, off the top of your head, 3 directors that you would see as inspirational?
Definitely Tim Burton, because he's my all-time favourite director.
Yeah.
And I loved his work. The other 2, James Gunn and his unique style. Like his new film coming out, Brightburn, is a horror movie, but using comic books as well, it's like a superhero movie, but a horror movie. And it's like, as I mentioned earlier, blending two genres together, and I really like that. Others I would have to go for either Steven Spielberg, because again, as I mentioned, Jurassic Park, his use of symbolism in Jurassic Park, his use of colouring within Jaws and tension, creating tension through the use of music, and his, for instance, the beach scene where the kid who dies wears red shorts, and he's the only kid on the beach who wears red shorts. And I think the use of colour in that and the mise en scène in that is like really brilliant. So these are probably the three examples.
Great, okay. Are you applying to a number of film schools?
Well, I have been looking into a number of film schools, and I've been thinking about applying to a lot of them.
So, how do you see ours on your list? This is the awkward question.
Yeah.
They always give you an awkward one, so I'm just
Is it?
throwing one out, getting used to them.
How I would see why I want this one so much is because of the education I would receive here. I think the course here is what I'm looking for and what I want to learn.
So these questions, just to clarify for the camera, are based on working in the film industry. So that's the scenario I'm painting, is that I run a film company, you've come for an interview.
Okay.
Okay. So how do you see yourself fitting into a company like this?
Well, I work in a team really well. I usually take charge in whatever I'm in charge of, so I tend to lead them to what I believe like the vision of the film or project is, and I believe I can offer a lot, especially those tactics, to wherever I'll be assigned.
Okay. Where would you like to see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Mostly in the director's role.
Okay, so that's what you're working towards and heading towards.
Yeah.
Could you name me some film work that you see as inspirational, whether it be a scene or an element within a film or a whole film itself? What inspires you is what I'm trying to find out.
So what inspired me?
Yeah, what inspires you? Paint me a picture.
A lot of work has inspired me, usually horror films, because that's the more area I'm aiming for, have inspired me. Stuff which are like the use of tension from music, as I mentioned in the other interview with Jaws, and how he did that. He wasn't able to show the shark as much because the animatronic broke, or I don't know, I found 10 different stories about that, and so he wasn't able to use the animatronic as much. And so he had to find a different way of creating tension without showing the monster, which is the shark. And so he decided to use the famous Jaws music, which is now known as the Jaws music, to create the tension. And he also used colour really well, like aiming for Jaws in this one, but he used colour really well within this film. Like the child who dies in the beach scene in Jaws, he was wearing red shorts, while anyone else was mostly wearing yellow. You can see it quite prominently yellow, which indicates fear, is shown quite a lot within that film. And the child who dies is wearing red to indicate danger, probably to make the audience feel like something bad is going to happen to this kid. And the colour of yellow being so prominent on the beach really gives you that, kind of like symbolises to the viewer that something bad is going to happen.
Okay, so if you were working for a company such as this, how would you feel about the long hours that are often involved in the film industry? And do you know about the long hours that are often involved?
Yeah, I know of long hours. I'm fine with long hours.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't tend to, like, I'll tend to, like, still get on with my work through all the long hours of the work, of the day.
Yeah.
Or morning. I'm aware that certain shots have to make you get up at like 6 in the morning, so you can get or probably earlier than that, just to get a shot of the day coming up, the sun coming up even, or a number of other different shots are time-based, such as night shots, like you needing to get shots at like night in order to get a clear start. And not all of this stuff can be done in editing, so you do have to go out and get shots of it like this time. And I know, but sometimes the filming, sometimes the times you have to go out filming aren't always comfortable, such as like in winter, you got to go out to film in really cold climates, especially depending where you're filming. And for a role, like, for instance, within the movie The Thing, that's in a really cold climate. And while most of that was a set, it probably did have some, probably had some, struggling words. Probably was filmed in a very cold climate, so they can also get the tell of like, so actors can see the snow, it would be more realistic. And I know that it would be a lot of hot, warm and uncomfortable climates where I have to film as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not a 9 to 5 industry
No.
very often. So could you give me an example of a time when you've worked successfully as part of a team?
Time I worked successfully as part of a team, during college I'm doing a music video task, and I believe me and my group are working really well on that. We came up with a cool, unique concept which we think goes well with the music provided. The actors we've been able to get really together really well. The paperwork we split up and do it evenly, and everyone gets on with their work and stuff like editing, proposal documents, and talking about the main story. Making the whole story is a group effort, so we all pitch in our ideas and have it happen. And so far it's been very great.
Equally, could you give me another example of a scenario where you've encountered health and safety within the film industry and risk assessments and those kind of, if you like, red tape type of, but very necessary types of factors that
So,
we have to play with?
Are you asking if I've had an incident happen while I'm filming, or
an
if I've
instance
had...
where you've, had to enforce or oversee the risk assessments or health and safety within a
I've
shoot?
had to look, because I did have there was one shot I really wanted to do, involved certain people being on one side of a bridge. So once people had been it was underneath a bridge, and there was a river, and I wanted on one side of the bridge, but I couldn't get it on that side of the bridge, I couldn't get the shot without being halfway in the water, or being on really uneven ground, and I couldn't take the risk to like damage the equipment or for someone to fall over. So we had to like change location to somewhere where we have a lot more stable ground.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to assume here that I've seen a show reel of yours as well. I've seen your show reel. Which bits of it do you feel are the strongest and why?
I feel like I'm really good at editing. I feel like I'm good at editing, and I know how I want it in my head, so I'm able to visualize it and communicate it with other people. So for instance, during most of my shots I took, for instance, one of the shots I took was a shot of my work experience, and we were down filming at a leather factory where they would make clothing or gun holsters out of leather, and I would talk to the person holding the camera, and I would talk to him and communicate with him how I want this shot, how I think the shot would be better, what angles I think would be better for the shot, if I want the background in focus, or if I want the background to be in focus and the foreground to be not in focus. And I think I'm really good at being able to tell people what I'm visualizing.
So this was going to be my next question, was
Yeah.
about communication skills.
Yeah.
As a communicator, do you feel confident speaking in front of a group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first started going to college at Bridgewater and Taunton College, I didn't know anyone there at all, but I was very confident with taking charge in the group, going out and being like, I want this to happen, I think this would be good. And then also when other people would be like, I think this is a good idea, I think this is a good idea, I was able to have those taken on board. For instance, we wanted to do a romance story in one of our projects, but they wanted it, someone wanted to add an element of time travel into it. So we tried to, because we had to have two genres in it, so we had to meld, someone else wanted sci-fi and time travel to be implemented into it. So I took that on board, and then we had to look at it and how we can add it. So I feel like I don't just communicate well, I feel like I take communication well.
So you had to compromise in this instance.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess this is halfway across the spectrum as well, the idea of making compromises. How are you with taking direction yourself? Could you give me an instance where you've been someone who's had to take direction and do as they're told, if you know what I mean? How have you... could you give me an instance
I
of
used to
that?
do acting, and when I was doing acting, some of the media students would tell me what they wanted and how they wanted it, so I was able to do performances to suit what they wanted. And within my first year of college, we were doing a number of projects, and one of our smaller projects was to make a smaller horror film called Stalker, and that was a simple plot about someone following someone else, well, stalking them. And we all had that premise, and we all had to change it in its own unique way. And I was editing it, and when people would communicate to me and being like, oh, this is what I want, how I want it, I want this bit with a certain filter on so it looks like videotape, like security camera, and because he did a cool aerial view shots from above the stairs of it, and then he wanted it to be like a security camera shot, and I completely agreed, and I believe that me backing down, taking advice from other people could and does help to improve the film.
Yeah, sure. So, could you tell me why and when did you first know that you wanted to work in the film industry? So why did you want to work in the film industry? When did you first realise this?
I was studying media, it was media IT back at my high school, I guess is the word. We called it college, but because it was known as a college, but it's a high school. And we studied it there.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. We did stop motion work. We also did other work with photography and that. But I mostly enjoyed the script writing parts and the stop motion work. And we had to make a stop motion part for a soda advert, which I guess is when I first found out I really enjoyed it. But me putting more effort into that than I was into most other things.
So, so I suppose that's at high school. You kind of realised then.
Yeah.
Is that what you say? Yeah.